I'm in a situation with a life partner and a young child. And I love both of them dearly. But I'm having a very difficult time with my partner because we seem to be in very different places in terms of our expectations or expectancy from life. And I feel like our contrast has reached a point of polarization that I'm finding very hard to be around. And I don't want to continue to fork off out of this relationship and out of our family because I feel like I really want to be a part of her experience, our experience, and my son's experience. But I also feel it's really essential for me to be able to hold the space and continue to evolve and be positive in terms of my visions and my manifestation. And I feel like I'm really at a crossroads with how to work with that energy.
Well, what we hear you saying is it's hard for me to hold my thoughts in the direction of things that feel good when I have circumstances around me that keep taking my attention to places that don't feel so good. And we want to say it's not so different than many of the things that we've been talking about here today, where things don't go right when you'd like them to go right, and of course you'd feel better if they did go right, but the question that we want to put to you is it possible for you to have arthritis in your hips and still be hopeful? Or does arthritis in your hips always mean that you have to be fearful? Does disagreement on many, many issues in a relationship mean that you have to feel bad? Or does disagreement on many, many things mean that there are just more options to think about? The question that we want to put to you, because everything about your life rests on this understanding, not just yours but everybody's. Can I feel how I choose to feel under any conditions? Or do I need to control or change the conditions before I can feel better? And when you get it, that you have the power to feel better even if conditions don't seem to be changing, and you force yourself by diligently, vigilantly choosing the fork that feels a little better, what begins to happen is you begin to offer a different vibration that extracts different things from everything in your environment.
Right. I understand that. I guess for me, it's just when I was a single entity, it was a lot easier for me to hold that space.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah. And being in partnership, it's a lot more challenging to deal with the gravity of another person's choices or moods or belief systems. And I'm not necessarily struggling with it because there are days where I'm really fine with it.
Esther heard on the television last evening that 15% of all murders are committed by the person you live with. And she looked at Jerry and said, "Do I have something I need to worry about?" And they laughed about it, and then they said, it's pretty logical, isn't it? That if you see someone getting in the way of your joy, that in the same way you would fight for oxygen by getting the pillow off your face, people tend to want to get everything out of the way that they think is responsible for their loss of joy. So let's talk, if you don't mind. We have not really done anything in terms of example of moving up the emotional scale or closing that gap between what you want and where you are. And so if you are willing, let's talk about some of the nitty-gritty. We think what happens with so many of you is that there are easier possible choices that you could make that you don't make because they don't feel like they're big enough to make any difference. And the choices that feel big enough that would make a difference, you can't make because there's too much vibrational difference between them. And so that's what causes people to feel trapped in a situation like this. What they could do doesn't feel like it's enough, and what does feel like enough, they can't do because there's too much vibrational discord. So let us show you how far you can go and how fast you can do it just by focusing with an intent to close that vibrational gap. So what is the subject of greatest discord? An example of it.
An example would be she holds the thought that she has to be the person in our relationship that's quote unquote real, that's grounded or understands life on day-to-day real terms. And so if I have an idea or if I have a dream, her position would be it's not achievable, ideal in the real world. And so I feel like she limits the scope of possibility because she has not experienced some of the things that I've experienced, or some of the things that the people in this room and you yourself have experienced in terms of possibility and actually achieving something in the physical that at one time started as a desire or a thought?
Well, the thing is, as you have a dream, and then she says it's not achievable, and then you feel anger at her for not being able to see your dream. Now, your pushing against her has caused discord in your vibration so that you are no longer in alignment with your dream either, and so it turns out she's right.
Right.
So how do I pull out of that? In other words, how do I maintain my vision? Here's something that will help right away, and that is when you have a dream and you've thought about it and you've come into alignment with it and you've practiced the thought of it so that it's very easy for you to maintain the vibration of it, then you could express it to those who don't know better, and their ignorance or innocence could be expressed. You can't do that, you can't do that. And you wouldn't be bothered at all by it because you know you can do it. And the fact that they don't know that you can do it wouldn't bother you at all. But if you haven't taken the time to really get yourself in vibrational alignment with your dream before you tell them about it, so that you're sort of tentative in it, and then you tell them about it, then what happens is, as they beat the drum of their disbelief, they drag you back into that disbelief, cause greater discord between where you want to be and where you are, and then you blame them for the way you feel. And it feels to us that that's what's going on here. Years ago, Jerry wrote a paper because he saw so much of this around those that he was trying to counsel into a better financial situation. And his paper, it was a yellow paper and it was 7 pages long, and it was about stuff that he had gathered from several books, and he entitled his paper, "Keep Your Ideas to Yourself Until They Are Fully Developed," because he saw so many people who were tiptoeing into an idea, who barely got started, that would then begin talking to someone who had not had the experience or who didn't understand, who would beat the drum of why it wouldn't work, and before Jerry knew it, his bright-eyed stargazer had lost his ability to dream because another dream had bit the dust by some naysayer. So, what do you do when you live with someone who doesn't believe in your ability to create? So annoying. What do you do when you live with someone who doesn't believe in your ability to create? You create secretly.
Which I've attempted to do. And then it's, you're not telling me what's going on in your life. You're not communicating. You've got to let me know. And it's like, well, I really don't want to let you know until it's fully cooked. And so we get into this kind of discussion. She says, well, send me a memo when you're ready. So I want to hold that place where I'm cooking it, but I also have to report back every now and then.
Well, it isn't easy to be optimistic in an environment that is pessimistic. And also, it is annoying if you're here in a brighter, fluffier place and someone else is in a place of great annoyance. You irritate them and they irritate you. And so that's the reason that you're even contemplating putting some physical distance between you, even though you really, really don't want to do that. And what we're suggesting is that you can, with less effort than you think, put some vibrational difference between you. So now we're going to play this back to you. So you say, I have a dream, and she says, your dreams always fizzle. And then you say, it's your fault, as you fork in the opposite direction. Or you could say, well, not all of them fizzle, and maybe some of them won't. And she says, they probably all will. I haven't seen any other evidence. And you say, well, you might be right, but you haven't seen everything. And I believe that there's more in the future that neither one of us can see. And it makes me feel better to be hopeful than to feel helpless. And she says, well, I wish that instead of dreaming, you'd start doing some things that are more productive. And you say, I'm trying to do productive things, and I don't think that there's any harm in dreaming too. And she says, I wish that you would be able to show me some of the things that you're talking about. And you say, I'm in absolute agreement with you. I would like to be able to show you some of the things. And then, now you've got a little momentum going, and then you say, there's nothing I would like more than to find find my groove and get into my vibration and begin providing for you evidence of well-being of an extraordinary nature. There are so many things that my life together with you and the three of us has produced in me, so many desires that I want that would make our lives better. And in every waking moment, I'm looking forward to the time when we can, the three of us, experience more of those wonderful things together. And she says, well, that sounds pretty good to me. Or she says, well, you're just dreaming again. It's not likely. And you say, as she says, well, you're just dreaming again. It's not likely. You've been doing this for years and I haven't seen any evidence. You say, but I never give up hope that I will be able to give you the things that you want and deserve. Now, it's getting harder and harder for her to stay obstinate because you're holding yourself in this place of love. You're holding yourself in this place of really wanting her world to be better. And seeing yourself as someone who might maybe be able to make it a little bit better. And then you say to her, I know things haven't always gone as well as I have dreamed them, but I think I have a new plan in place. And that is, I'm going to incrementally bring myself into alignment with the things that I want. And then say to her, you know, sometimes I want something so badly and you are so sure I can't make it that I just want to run away from you out into some clear space where maybe I have a chance of making it. But every time I mentally run out into that place, I feel worse because you're not there than I would feel if I were out there maybe even making it. So I'm determined that I'm going to stay right here in this place with all your negative commentary and I'm going to make it anyway. But in order to do that, I have to leave you out of some of the things that I'm thinking. So just give me a little space and I promise you it will get better. And let's not take score too fast. And as we give each other the benefit of the doubt more, things will get better and better. And we don't think that you could have too many discussions where you are really trying your best to feel better, that you won't begin to really feel better. And when you feel better, you see what's happening is she's getting your goat. And we don't blame you at all. But when she gets your goat, then you give her back exactly what she expects, which is what gets your goat, you see. So to break the cycle, you've got to practice in your own mind something until you shore up the vibration. And we think a gathering like this here today has done a good job for that for you. And now things are going to begin to break loose a little bit for you. And as they do, just smile and say to her, things are getting better, things are getting better, things are getting better. But never challenge her about things getting better when things aren't going good. Never talk about how good things are going to get when things are going bad. Because when she sees things as going bad and you use that as your ill-placed timing to promise her that things are going to get better, she's going to demand from you evidence of that which you're not going to be able to give her in that moment. So make your promises during the best feeling times and be tongue-tied and speak nothing in the times that don't feel so good. And we promise you it will get better and better and better for you. Things are supposed to go well for you. They are supposed to go well for you. And all of that discomfort that you've been living has launched rockets of desire, and Source now knows more clearly who you are and what you want, and Source is in agreement with your desires. And so it is our wanting that you listen for the voice of Source rather than from the voice of negative life partner. In other words, listen for your real life partner who says you can do it, but you don't have to do it all at once. You can do it, but you don't have to do it all at once. And Source is also saying to you, and we'll show you the best way for now and the best way for now. And the thing that you're going to discover is it's not a beeline to where you think you want to go. It's a gentle, gradual, constant swooping, redirecting, swooping, redirecting, swooping, redirecting. And when you want to feel good as much as we can feel that you want to feel good, we know you will find the words that will help you in that. And she's not going to come around all at once. She may never come to the place of clarity that you hold, but she will come around enough that you will see the evidence of your alignment. Because one who is in alignment is more influential than millions who are not. Reflect back on your coming together. And remember how dynamic it felt. And let that be active within you. And remind her every day that you have an opportunity that when you met her, you wanted to be with her, and you still want to be with her, and you are determined that you're going to make it work, and you have ever so much more reason, and everything is going to turn out all right, and you don't care how negative she feels right now, it's going to get better. And please don't blame me for my continuing to dream, because it is my dreams that are going to take us into a place that's going to feel really good. And one day, promise her, we'll all look back on this, and you'll say to me, I'm glad that you dreamed even when I accused you of foolishness, because I can see that it was your mindset that laid the groundwork of all of this wonderful life that we are now living.